what is up, beautiful people on YouTube? It's TAPION, and we got a special video for you guys here today. We're going to be looking at mechanics and game sense and how to apply those two terms in your own gameplay. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. So in order to kind of get better at something, we all have heard like the saying, you know, practice makes perfect, or even to some degree, perfect practice makes perfect. And while I would tell you like the second part, the latter part is true to some degree, I think that when we're trying to get better at a certain activity, in this case it being Valorant, that doesn't really tell a person what they should be practicing. Because you could say, oh yeah, I want to get better at Valorant, but I don't know where to start. And I've definitely been there. There's so many factors that kind of play into getting better at Valorant, or even securing W's in Valorant. And it can get really confusing like super fast. So how do we practice? And hopefully I could try to answer that in this video. So when it comes to trying to figure out how to get better, what I like to do is distill everything that I know into kind of two main categories. And that kind of will encompass a plethora of play styles that will fit kind of into these two categories, or these two ideas that you kind of, I've heard these terms being thrown around both in the FPS community and the fighting games community. If you've been around the block, you probably have heard these terms before. And you can take what you learn from this video and also kind of apply it to some other stuff too. But these terms that I'm talking about, it's two of them that have stuck around with me since, again, playing a lot of first-person shooters and a lot of fighting games, and that's mechanics and game sense. I like to think of these two terms in other ways, like think of mechanics as like technique and game sense as adaptation, and I'll kind of explain more as we go into the video of what those two terms kind of loosely mean by giving examples and stuff like that and going further down into detail. All right, so I'm going to try to now explain the very complex terminology of mechanics and game sense in kind of layman's terms. But mechanics is not only what happens in a game, like, you know, characters' abilities, how to plant the spike, whatever. It's also in regards to how your body responds to what's happening in a game, using certain actions and techniques while also having crafted like precise execution. So this could be as small as, you know, I don't know, making sure your crosshair placement, you know, is at head level in order to cover certain angles, to as big as, you know, flicking to a designated target in order to secure a pick for you guys to, you know, push onto sight. So all this kind of stems from training your muscle memory to perform certain tasks related to these particular actions. Game sense. Game sense is the ability to adapt to any given situation and to allow your understanding of the meta surrounding the game dictate your next action, right? So again, this could be as small as someone makes a noise and you hear it and you respond to that, or it could be as big as knowing when certain characters on the enemy team have used like certain abilities, and that gives you information to be able to share with the team, right? So an example would be, you saw a Sky flash on A, on Haven, you know Sky is there, you say, guys, Sky is near A. Or you saw Sky use a flash, Cypher throws a trap on the enemy team to try to move forward, you go, okay, Sky and Cypher are here, guys. We need somebody to rotate. It could also mean, you know, like you're trying to allow your knowledge of the game and the meta to form your decisions, right? So, you know, all this stuff kind of essentially boils down to how well do you adapt when things try to go against you or are in opposition to you, right? And if I had to pick one of the two things that I think matter the most on the whole spectrum of mechanics and game sense, I've had friends tell me this, I've watched videos on this. I would say that you would want to lean more on game sense than mechanical skill. And I'm not saying that mechanical skill is not important. It absolutely is. And you should practice in aim lab and Kovac and whatever. And deathmatch and all that stuff. All that stuff's good. But at the end of the day, shooting can only get you so far, and you don't want to always be in a situation where it's a 50-50 chance against you and the other person, where you're in a fair fight. The goal is to make it as unfair for the other person as possible. And I learned this in fighting games, right? I remember one time I was playing a bunch of fighting games back in the day. I think it was Melee and Dragon Ball FighterZ. I heard this and it never escaped from me ever since. I heard in a video one time somebody explaining it like this: you want to make it to where the other person can't play the game. That's basically what you want to do. If you can make it your turn as much as possible, or have it in much as control in your playing field as much as possible, you're going to put yourself at an advantageous position to where you're going to be dominating the other team. So in fighting games, that means, you know, making sure that the other person can't play the game, that it's not their turn, or you give them a chance to be able to counteract what you're doing. In Valorant, it would be positional awareness, where you are in regards to the enemy team, waiting for information, being patient, and responding to that information once it comes to you, and relaying all that information to your team. So that's why I lean more on, like, if you're going to get good at something, get good at game sense versus your overall mechanics, even though mechanics are important, and you will learn that over time. We're going to look at two examples here. Let me pull it up. All right. So we're going to look at two examples. One of really good execution, and another that I think is okay in terms of game sense. And I'll explain that in a second. Let's look at TenZ here. So TenZ, you don't know, he's one of the best players in the world on Sentinels, Team Sentinels. And he is mechanically very exceptional, and probably, like I said, one of the best players in the world. His reaction time is amazing. His hand-eye coordination is on point. And he knows what to do, and his execution of the game abilities and all that stuff is just 110% all the time. So let's look at this clip right here of TenZ just killing people, because it's just amazing. So he's ran across. Jett catches Jett off guard, knows that there's 3 people there, decides to push with his ult, deletes Omen's head, deletes Cypher's head. All that's left is the Reyna. And he goes and destroys the Reyna. Super fast. Everything happened really quick. We could watch that again, like 75% speed. Let's go back here. So we'll just watch this one more time, slower. Shit like that. I know that sound's gonna be weird, so we're gonna mute it. So again, sees the Reyna cross. I think he hit her a little bit there. Hits the Jett a little bit, kills her. Sees a bunch of people there. He's gonna go for it with his ult. He's gonna go for the clip. He's able to see and respond immediately to where people are. That's what good mechanics will get you. Very, very well done there in terms of execution. And that comes from, again, like I said earlier, grinding a bunch of aim lab, Kovac, deathmatch, going into the aiming shooting range in Valorant, and just clicking on a bunch of bots' heads and practicing your aim. That's only going to get you so far. And maybe lower elos, like, you know, an iron, or in iron, bronze, and maybe even silver, gold. That's where it's silver and gold starts, where you start having to think a little more. In those early elos, it's very easy to out aim people if you've managed to practice that skill over and over and over again. But then it comes to a point where you have to stop only being able to out aim people and allow yourself to start thinking more about the game. And that's what game sense is. And I'm going to show you an example of what I think decent game sense is. Let's get to that video. All right, I'm not just showing myself for the sake of showing myself, but I feel like I did a pretty good job at utilizing my game sense in this clip. I'm not saying I'm as good as TenZ. I'm saying quite the opposite, actually, in some sense. But or not the opposite. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to show you guys that anybody could apply this information and make themselves better at playing the game. And it's not only limited to people who are the most gifted, mechanically, you know, skilled people out there like TenZ. You can apply this information yourself. You can get better at the game. That's what I want to show. And I'm an average Joe. I'm not anything special. I'm not amazing. I think I'm decent, and I'm slightly above average. And I've been able to apply these skills in my own game to get better. So this is a clip of me. Let's just skip forward a little bit here. Okay, so we start pushing up mid on Ascent. I get flashed. I can't see anything. You're gonna notice a lot of my teammates die mid, and I'm gonna be left in a 1v5 situation. So Raze dies, and I'm like, whoa, that's not good. And I saw Raze died from mid. I was like, okay, so I go to peek mid. Nothing happens. Reyna dies. I think that was Garrett. Garrett dies, yeah. And then I decided to push up tree. And the rest of my team die mid. Omen had the bomb, so now the bomb's mid. My plan is, okay, I'm in a 1v5 scenario. How do I win this situation, right? Because in all logic and rationale, I don't win this, right? It's a 1v5. There's no way I win this. But I'm going to set myself up for the best possible scenarios in order to win the situation. So we're going to watch here. I decided to push tree, and I decided to push the smoke. This was kind of risky because there could be somebody waiting a garden. But I take the chance because a lot of people died mid. There's a lot of action happening mid. So in my head, I'm thinking, you know what? Pushing tree here actually might not be a bad idea if I can get to CT and flank around to mid. That was what I was thinking because a lot of action was happening mid. Hopefully the other team doesn't suspect it. So push tree, get into garden here. I start making my way CT because again, I'm thinking there was a lot of action happening mid. I clear CT. I'm going to clear market. And I'm going to wait in this corner. Now, this is what I hear. At this point, I hear footsteps coming from the right. And I know, okay, somebody's coming from behind me. But they didn't shoot at me, which means that they didn't see me. I just know that they're coming. Which means I'm just going to wait for this person to come and secure the pick. This happens to be the enemy Yoru. Right about now-ish? Yeah. So I kill Yoru. I double check to make sure nobody's coming CT. I kill the Reyna. I also saw Killjoy, so I know somebody else is there. I hold the angle. This is kind of aggressive on my part. But if the Killjoy had peaked as soon as the Reyna died, I would have been dead. So this could have gone either way. And this is what you want to try to avoid is these 50-50 scenarios, right? I kill the Reyna, yeah. I should have, if I'm going to play the aggressive angle, I should have done something different than this. I should have played the aggressive angle. I probably should have gotten the pick, maybe run back, and allow Killjoy to kind of figure out what she needs to do. But it all works out. So let's watch that again. So I kill the Reyna. Killjoy decides to peek me late, which allows me to get that kill. Omen peeks me. I have to reload, jump to pizza. And I said, okay, if Omen's going to hold the angle, guess what? I'm going to flash him. So that's exactly what I do. Make sure I don't get flashed myself. He turns away, which allows me to secure the pick. By him doing that, by being able to peek as soon as my flash goes off, and catching him doing the 180, excuse me, it works out in my favor. Because it means that he has to do more movement and he has to readjust, right? So it worked out. I have ult now. And the bomb's right there. As Yoru, you can ult and pick up the bomb. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I decided to throw one more flash because Sova, for whatever reason, could be mid. Like I said, there was a lot of action happening mid. So I wanted to make sure that, you know what, if he's there, at least he's blinded and it's going to allow me to get this bomb. So pop my ult. I pick up the bomb. Now, no, I asked my team at this point, I said, does anybody know where Sova is? Nobody knew where Sova was. So what I decided to do was I walked all the way through Garden and CT, and in my head I'm thinking he could be somewhere on B, and if he's somewhere on B, I'm gonna meet him in B main. That's kind of what I was thinking here. So that's why I ulted and ran all the way through B main. And I didn't even clear that back angle. Okay, smarter Kenny would have cleared that back angle. Smarter TAPION. So here I'm like, okay, cool, we're good. I also was running out of time, so here, if I had more time, would have cleared back sight. Didn't have enough time. Maybe I had enough time. It would have been really risky. Here I'm just trolling. I mess up the plant, have to do it again. I'm like, oh god. So I do make some mistakes. You can see I made some stupid mistakes here, and I'm trolling a little bit. But I think overall, I think my judgment calls of what to do, I think, again, display what having decent game sense is. Not the perfect, not the best, not the most perfect, but enough to help me secure the round for our team. So here I get located. Sova knows where I'm at. Don't know where he is. Do I know where that bolt came from? Let me see. So I see the bolt. Let me see. So the bolt lands towards the green boxes on the left. So not where triple is, but more towards the left. Which means one of two things. Either he's coming from market and threw an arrow there, or he's coming from like maybe B main, depending on the angle. But I'm guessing market, right? So I thought this is what I thought. I was waiting for the last pulse to go by, but I get caught here. And I'm like, shit, that's not good. So now he knows where I am. Don't really know where Sova is exactly. I have a feeling he's going to come lane. I have TP. I throw it back spawn. He shoots an arrow stairs again. So that kind of tells me, okay, he might be market. He might push lane. I'm going to TP. Sova almost kills me with his shock arrow right here. Almost. I step back. I see him. Now I know he's lane, right? So now I just need to stall. And I think a lot of people, they always think that I have to fight this. They know where I'm at. That's not always the case. I do my best to stall as long as humanly possible, right? So I take my footsteps. I throw it into the corner to make him think I'm going into that corner. And he takes a long time to push me. He doesn't push me at all. He stays here on the ledge. And I delay as long as possible. And I'm slow peeking this. I see him walk. I get the kill. And I get an ace. Sova was so happened to be lit, and I was able to shoot him, like, I think in the foot or in the chest or something like that. So I get the ace. Why was I able to get the ace in a 1v5? I did a lot of thinking. And a lot of it was adaptation and, how do you call it? Improvisation on the spot, right? So it's thinking, what's my best options given to me in the situation right now? And thinking about how the game works, how my character works, how trusting in my own skill to be able to do things like this, right? Like I said, I'm not saying I'm better than tens. It's not the point of me showing this clip. The point of me showing this clip is to show you guys that anybody, right? Me, you can apply this to your game and get better at the game. Again, Tens not only is mechanically gifted, but he does have great game sense because he's on a professional team. So, and there's plenty of videos I could show you of Tens doing what I just did, probably 10 times better. But I wanted to show, again, what it's like to be able to do something, as an average person. Right? I'll say I'm the most average person out there. And be able to do it at a somewhat decent to high level to some degree, right? So there's that, right? So with those two examples, right, we had Tens mechanically gifted, and then we showed how an average Joe like me can apply game sense and bring their game to like the next level. There are ways to practice all of this stuff, right, on the whole spectrum of mechanical skill and game sense or game knowledge or idea of the meta of the game. I'm going to talk about how to practice your own mechanical skill because I feel like that's what everybody kind of gravitates to, even though I don't think it's the most important. I'm going to show you kind of what I do. Let's do this. Okay. Every time I play Valorant, or I'm going to play Valorant, I do a few things. I go to aim lab. All right, so this is what I would do. I would come into aim lab. And if you don't have it already, type in Valorant. I think it's called Immortal Practice. Yeah, Immortal Valorant Practice by Defied. This is a really good one. This is the one that I use all the time. The only difference is which is weird. I don't know why he didn't put it into that playlist, but I made a mod of it called Valorant Practice mod. All I added was grid shot. That was it. And I'll run through all these scenarios: strafe track, motion track, micro shot, motion shot, spider shot, six shot, and grid shot. I'll just do it in one shot. I'll just go for it. If you want to put in the time, practice this a lot. And when you go to play Valorant, just do it as warm-up. So don't spend, I don't know, more than 30 minutes doing this. Because what I want to kind of emphasize here is that you want to get better at Valorant, not better at clicking on circles. Does that make sense? So this is good as warm-up, and this is what I do. I use it as a warm-up tool. I'll play all these once. When you're practicing by yourself, you know, this is good for, you know, again, I wouldn't spend no more than like an hour in training doing this stuff. But yeah, that's what I like to do. So I'll come in here and I'll do all these one time as warm up. If I'm really rusty, I'll come and go into the shooting range. But more often than not, I'll just jump into a deathmatch after I've done aim lab as warm up. I'll jump into a deathmatch. I'll play a deathmatch. After that deathmatch, go right into comp. And the reason why, a lot of people, they'll spend a crap ton of time doing aim lab, Kovac, deathmatch, and they waste a lot of time only focus on mechanical skill when they don't work on their game sense. How do you work on your game sense? Play Valorant a lot. That's how you do it. Okay? The only way you're going to get better at the game is if you play the game a lot. That's really the trick to it, right? You want to get better at playing, you know, Reyna. You play Reyna in comp. You want to get better at Killjoy and using her utility. You practice that, you know, in a custom game, and then you play it, and then you do it in a real game scenario, right? That's how we get better. We get it better at doing the thing that we need to get better at, which is playing the game. That's really how you hone your game sense. Just throw yourself in a comp and play a lot of competitive over and over and over again, and that's how you get really good. That's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else left to talk about. Also, this is kind of just a little side note. It's real easy to blame other people. And it's real easy to think that you're doing everything right 100% of the time. But I'm going to be honest with you, and I was honest with you guys about myself. I don't think I'm the best. I think I make a lot of mistakes, and you saw it in the video. I made a lot of stupid mistakes in that 1v5 clutch. You need to be able to humble yourself and acknowledge when you're doing something wrong, or identify the areas that you're weak in. And ultimately, you're going to be better off doing that than blaming, you know, oh, we had somebody that go AFK for 3 rounds, they came back, you know. Like, you're going to encounter those things regardless, and those things are out of your control. You need to be able to focus on what's in your control and what you can do to bring, you know, benefits to your team versus, you know, oh, so-and-so didn't do this, so-and-so didn't do that. It's like I said, it's real easy to blame other people, but it's harder to look at yourself and identify yourself and be like, okay, I messed up. But the more you do that, the easier it gets, and that makes you a better player over time. Identifying what you're weak at, what you're strong at, and where you mess up, and being able to admit, hey, I messed up. There's plenty of times, and you can watch a bunch of my videos. I give a messed up call out, or I make an easy, stupid mistake, and I get punished for it, and I have to go, can't do that again. And when it comes to getting like hard stuck, a lot of people who are hard stuck in whatever rank that they're in, it's because, again, they're not identifying what they're doing wrong, and they're just kind of going like, I don't know. And you have to be able to go back to your gameplays and go back to your VODs and go, okay, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And focus on how to then strengthen that area. If your reaction time is really bad, then yeah, okay, go into aim lab, go into Kovac, and practice flicking for, you know, 30 minutes to an hour. If your game sense is really bad, where you feel like you're not, okay, how do I make Killjoy work on this map? Well, okay, go into a custom game, figure out her lineups, figure out where to put her utility, and you know, go from there. It's as simple as that, and even though it's so simple, it's hard for us to acknowledge it sometimes in ourselves. So, you know, I hope this video helped. If you guys want more videos like this where I analyze, you know, pro players, or I analyze my own videos. Why'd you guys comment down below? Let me know. Why? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications for future Valorant content. I love you guys. I hope this all helped. If it didn't, say down below. I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.